These are my force feedback settings for Moza R5 and iRacing. So let's jump to the Moza Pidhouse software and select the base and first tap basic settings. Maximum steering angle depends on the car you drive, but usually the game can control the steering angle. So I have it set on 180. Road sensitivity. These are the effects of the road, like bumps and curbs. And my sweet spot is 4. The 10 is too harsh for me, and if you are using smaller diameter wheels, you want to have it on smaller number. This is 300mm diameter wheel rim, and the 4 is perfect for me. If I'm using a wheel rim with 280mm, like Formula style rim, I have to set it on 3. Game force feedback sensitivity, this is the strength of the force feedback, and I always have it on 100%, so I'm not losing any details, and I will adjust the strength in the game. Maximum wheel speed, this setting is useful for drifting, it also says in the description, but I'm using it also for road races because I feel that I can catch the slides better when it's on maximum. Like the wheel will tell you sooner that you are losing grip. It will try to counter steer faster. Wheel spring, it's just a spring. This setting will try to return your wheel to the center position always. So if you turn it right, it will just spring back. We don't want that, so it's on 0. Wheel damper is always on 0 on every base I use. The wheel damper can make the car more stable, but it will give you the sense of stickiness. Now let's go to advanced settings. Maximum output torque limit is also 100%. This is the force feedback strength. I don't know why they have 2 separate sliders for that, but I have it on 100%. Steering wheel inertia depends on your wheel rim. You have presets here, so it depends on what type of wheel rim you have attached to the Moza wheelbase. This controls hands of protection. I don't actually know how it works, but we can trust Moza that these presets are good. Natural inertia and wheel friction I have on maximum. This is because if you put these sliders on 0, the wheel is very light. It rotates, it's very light. There is no friction and doesn't feel natural. It is even written here in the description. Small friction will make the steering more lively, but it is not easy to find control. And too small will make the steering unreal. So I also have more control over the car when I have these 2 sliders on the maximum. And I like the friction in the wheel, it feels more realistic. And from my experience and testing the force feedback, these settings are the best for me. Speed dependent damping is the setting that is based on the speed of the car, so it controls the damping on different speeds. I have it on 0, and start point of speed dependent damping, I have it on 400 km/h on maximum. This is because I don't use force feedback effect equalizer. If you want to use this equalizer, you have to set it on 0, so it will start doing the adjustments from 0 speed. If you don't want it, put it on maximum and you don't have to care about the equalizer. Force feedback curve I have on linear. I don't see a reason why should I change this. The last thing is soft limit stiffness. This is just how hard the stop limit will be. So I have it on 5, this is sweet spot. Because at 10 it's too hard, at 1 it's too soft. So I have it on 5. You can also disable this setting and let the game control the stiffness of the stop. Okay, that's all here in Moza Pidhouse, and now we can jump into iRacing. In iRacing options, in the first tab, select Enable Force Feedback, of course, select Use Linear Mode, this is for direct drive wheels, and this is a personal preference, reduce force feedback when parked. Strength, leave it like it is, because we will check that later. Wheel force, set it to your wheelbase. This is Moza R5, so we have 5.5 Nm. Intensity 100%. smoothing, damping and min force on 0. Now do yourself a favor and map the auto compute force feedback force button in controls, because you will be using this button a lot. How the automatic force feedback in iRacing works is monitoring your force feedback output, and it will adjust the strength if you are clipping some details. If your force feedback is too low, it will also adjust it to the maximum value. So you have to do now few laps in the car, and you have to watch the black box here where the force feedback strength is. If you make 1 or 2 laps, the small auto will light up here. If it lights up, just press the auto button and it will adjust your force feedback automatically. So let's drive for few laps. And now after first lap, the force feedback strength was set to lower number. So the auto button pops up, hit the auto button, and now your force feedback is set to the perfect value. You have to do this for each car and each track separately, because force feedback will be different in every car and on every track. You can also tune these settings more in the pit house, and you can use my settings as the starting point. But after driving for hours and tinkering with the force feedback settings, I found these settings to be the best for me and for the Moza R5 in iRacing.